Hello there, Qckslvrslash here, and I am back. It's been a long couple months. I've had a lot of things happen in real life, and I just kind of burnt out on ships, and I didn't want to be mailing in content and just trying to pump out videos, so I took a bit of a break. I really started getting back into it with Clan Wars. I've been playing with my clan, really enjoying that, and that's relit the passion I have for ships, and life's kind of sorted itself out, as it always does, so I've got the time I need to dedicate to this game and really to you guys. And that was part of my absence. I didn't want to sit on my computer for the 30-40 minutes some of these videos take and just pump something out, upload it to say I uploaded something. So today I am in my St. Louis. I got this maybe 2 weeks back. I've had a rough time in her. I really loved the Charles Martel. Had a lot of good games in the Martel, and it just hasn't been happening as much in the St. Louis. That said, I'm getting better, and I think it's just that tier-to-tier jump. You see a lot more 10s when you're in a tier 9 than an 8, and that alone is enough to really force you to change your playstyle. Now, I'm playing alongside Savea and Flying Goomba, Turpits, and a Tashkent, and yeah, we sort of failed division tier. Goomba just wanted to sail as Turpits, so we said, sure, Turpits can see 10s, and, well, we saw 10s. Now, right off the bat, you can see the team is trying the tested and true, often failing, split completely in half method. It doesn't always work on Warrior's Path simply because Charlie is so detached. If that many ships go over there and they don't run into a at least numerically equal enemy fleet, you can end up well outmatched here on the other flank, and vice versa. But looking at the enemy team, things are seeming pretty even so far. Now, with our one destroyer in Cap the Garian getting absolutely slaughtered because, well, he got detected and a couple ships shooting at him, and it took a while for us to be able to return. It's important to try to make sure we at least come out of this even. So I decide I'm turning in on this Ghoul, or Benson. I love the Halloween camos and that they're in the game. And get a volley off, take it out, so we're at least 1-to-1 on destroyers. Granted, a 10 and an 8, but in a destroyer, to me that isn't a huge difference, because the Benson's got pretty much the same guns, similar detection, it's got torpedoes, it can do the same work that a Gearing can. Now, the obvious next focus needs to be the Samagi. He's on low health. I lit a fire, looks like he put it out right away. Getting rid of this battleship will, in a way, kind of secure this flank for us. Meanwhile, you can kind of see across the map, the enemy team and our team, no one really wants to be the one to be like, yep, I'm going in, and the enemies have Bravo already. So I decide with just a Shimakaze in close, it's time to push the advantage. I tell Savea, he pretty much says, yep, let's do it. And throws it to full throttle, and all of us are just charging in. We're going to force the enemy out from this cap. Now, there is a Qckslvrslash well to the north, but I'm feeling it as long as I don't sit still, and if I can get to the opposite side of this cap, I put myself in a fairly safe location behind these islands. And with speed boost going, I get a little lucky there. The shells are astern of me, and that's pretty much going to be the last volley I face, because I'm now starting to get into the shadow of these two islands, the New Orleans no longer having those kind of lob shots at me, and the Qckslvrslash forced to deal with some other things. Which means we're going to get the cap. That's pretty sweet. Here come the Shimakaze torpedoes, my Hydro giving me a nice early warning. Plenty of time to dodge them. Oddly enough, we've got another set coming over there. And at first, Goomba felt that that was the Shimakaze, but it's actually the Ibuki Torps. And they hit, but he's going to repair them. And that means our next focus needs to be this Qckslvrslash. He's pretty much alone. He's a big dangerous ship, and I've got just the guns to deal with him. Decent rate of fire, lots of HE. I'm gonna start some fires. At least that's the plan. And sure, it can feel a little like, boring or cheap to just throw HE at everything, but it can work, and especially against higher tier battleships, forcing their damage controls really is the big thing that works. The same is true in Clan Wars. There's a lot of games where I've been just told the role, like, light fires on things, force cooldowns, and that's been my job. Now, obviously, Savea there, he went for the Shima, and unfortunately, in doing so, he is going to meet an early end, but he gets the Shimakaze. So that's another even trade. We get their tier 10 for one of our tier 9s, but once again, both are destroyers, and unfortunately, Savea only managed to get the one volley off. And, well, I'm starting to feel not so hot. This Qckslvrslash is still charging around the corner, and he's 6 kilometers away. That is mess you up range. There's no real easy way for me to get out of that. So I pretty much decide I've got to go bow in. If I kept turning out, I was eating something. He's side on, so I switched to AP for the shells over penetrating, but still a nice 4,000 or 5,000 damage hit. Another AP volley. Not quite so much there, and it's time to get back to HE because all I'm seeing is Stern. And as he comes around, you can see those turrets slowly trying to follow over my way. As Qckslvrslash has decided, I'm the enemy, I'm who needs to die, and it makes sense. I'm a cruiser, I'm close, and I'm just going to get my rudder over and try to keep wiggling and pretty much get lucky. Perfect time in there, one shell hitting me for really no damage, and additionally, swinging my stern over steered me out of the way of these torps. So, it's win all around. Goomba finishes off the Tirpitz's bigger sibling, and now it's just the Ibuki. And if there's one thing I've learned playing ships, it's you don't chase Japanese cruisers. Even in something like this where I've got the speed boost and can run something down, I have no interest in playing a chase game. Now additionally, looking at the map where the New Orleans is, I really see them probably trying to sneak in and get into A. We've got a Montana coming this way. It's time for me to go dark, and Goomba's going to go dark too as he explodes in his always obligatory fashion when it's one of my videos. But he did take something big out with him, and that's all that really matters. I've successfully managed to disappear from the enemy's radars and off their map, which means this Monty isn't going to get me. Now my plan right now is to head that New Orleans off, and not knowing exactly where he is presents a bit of a problem, so I'm just going to try to get to an island, hug it, and at least make sure I'm safe from this Montana. If the Monty has any clear shots at me, that's pretty much my game. So as I start to disappear behind these islands and break line of sight, it's time to start shooting. You can see the New Orleans was momentarily spotted. I'm just trying to figure out where exactly he is to make sure I'm in a position to engage him. Now right now I've got HE loaded, but thinking about the prospect of hopefully catching a cruiser side on, any moment here I am going to decide to swap to AP, and knowing me, I'm probably going to do it like 2 seconds before he appears, start switching the guns over so that I don't have any shells ready. But I'm also worried about that Montana. He spots me, so I have to pretty much turn south here, which could mean side-on shots for New Orleans. If he's there, the radar gets me, and he gets detected, and he's nowhere near me. And I also never swapped to AP, which I could have sworn I had done. Now initially here, I really like what the New Orleans is doing. Rather than charge in against a battleship and 2 cruisers, it looks Like he's pulling back to fall in with those Montana, group up the remaining forces to try to make a concerted push rather than kind of a suicide push. Unfortunately for the Montana, that is not what he's doing. In fact, he is pretty much turning tail and running. And that's going to mean a really crappy experience for this Montana, as he pretty much gives up. He can see where our Yamato is and decides, you know what, if I'm going out, it's in a blaze of glory. Let's charge their battleship, see if we can't get a ram. And me, this Atago, and pretty much our whole team are going to do everything we can to make sure the Montana never makes it. I've got a fire going, starting to rack up some actual damage, just crossing into 60k here, which I'm happy with so far, because as embarrassing it is to admit, this is one of the higher damage games I've got so far in the St. Louis, because whatever reason, games just aren't presenting themselves where I have that chance to just work targets over for range. And I've had a couple where I've got caught side onto a battleship who absolutely obliterates me. But as the Montana charges our Yamato, I see no reason to expose myself to this New Orleans or Rune. So I stop behind the island, keep myself safe, and just keep trying to burn this ship to the bottom of the ocean. Which makes no sense because the ocean will put the fire out, but it's what we're going to do. It's a plan, and I'm sticking to it. I do not change my mind. And, well, fortunately for our Yami, this Monty shouldn't be able to make it all the way. You can see the health points just melting away as an entire team works a single ship down, because their Z-23 and their 3 remaining cruisers have, well, they've all disappeared. So with only them remaining and all 3 caps about to be securely in our grasp, now's the time I feel comfortable chasing. I want some kills, and, well, the first ship on that list is gonna be this Rune. Lowest health, he's gonna be my first focus. Now, if only my initial aim were a little better, I might have got some starting damage, but, you know, all's well that ends well, and this game is going to end well for us. Connect with 1 errant shell there. Still no damage, but most of our team seems to be missing too, giving me more time to try to actually do something to this room. Now, obviously the other thing I need to be thinking about is, where's that Z-23? He hasn't been spotted in a while. So, I decide, it's time to turn. I've been driving in a straight line for a bit. Might be time to get some torpedoes going. Another hit on the Rune, 1 more connection, and they should be dead. To the point where I even try to look away and go, no, I shouldn't do that. Don't count your ducks or eggs before they've hatched. But get the Rune, and the New Orleans disappears. I decide it's time for Hydro, and just gonna chase the next target. And that's when a Z-23 conveniently appears right in front of me. So, something else to focus down. And as I work the Z-23 to the ground, I would just like to say it's good to be back. If you've got amazing replays, send them to me, because I'm hurting for content, as I realized. I had an amazing Charles game that I thought I could use, but turns out the launcher won't load it. Anyways, until next time, as always, I'm Qckslvrslash, and have a good weekend.